everyone, welcome to Stonx Music. My name's Ollie, and today we're going to be having a look at Ableton's Beat Repeat. Let's go! Right, so here we are back at Ableton's manual. Just want to say a big shout out to Ian Smith, who told me to get my video out of the way of the goddamn text. So here we are, up in the top right corner. Hopefully this is much better, let me know guys. So, Beat Repeat, let's see what they've got to say about it. Beat Repeat allows for a creation of controlled and randomized repetitions of an incoming signal. The interval control defines how often Beat Repeat captures new material and begins repeating it. Interval is synced to and set in terms of the song tempo, with values ranging from 1/32 to 4 bars. The offset control shifts the point defined by interval forward in time. If interval is set to 1 bar, for example, and offset to 8/16, material will be captured for repetition once per bar on the third beat, i.e. halfway or 8/16 of the way through the bar. It's a little bit confusing to read, but I think it makes sense. You can add randomness to the process using the chance control, which defines the likelihood of repetitions actually taking place when interval and offset ask for them. If chance is set to 100%, repetitions will always take place at the given interval offset time. If set to 0, there will be no repetitions. Gate defines the total length of all repetitions in 16th notes. If gate is set to 4/16, the repetitions will occur over the period of 1 beat, starting at the position defined by interval and offset. Activating the repeat button bypasses all of the above controls, immediately capturing material and repeating it until deactivated. The grid control defines the grid size, the size of each repeated slice. If set to 1/16, a slice the size of 1/16 note will be captured and repeated for the given gate length, or until repeat is deactivated. Large grid values create rhythmic loops, while small values create sonic artifacts. The No Triplet button sets grid divisions as binary. Grid size can be changed randomly using the variation control. If variation is set to 0, grid size is fixed, but when variation is set to higher values, the grid fluctuates considerably around the set grid value. Variation has several different modes available in the chooser below. Trigger creates variations of the grid when repetitions are triggered, 1/4, 1/8 and 1/16 trigger variations in regular intervals, and auto forces Beat Repeat to apply a new random variation after each repetition, the most complex form of grid variation in Beat Repeat, especially if triplets are also allowed. Beat Repeat's repetitions can be pitched down for special sonic effects. Pitch is adjusted through the resampling in Beat Repeat. Lengthening segments to pitch them down without actually compressing them to adjust for the length change. This means that the rhythmical structure can become quite ambiguous with higher pitched values. Pitch decay control tapers the pitch curve, making each repeated slice play lower than the previous one. Warning, this is the most obscure parameter of Beat Repeat. Beat Repeat includes a combined low-pass and high-pass filter for defining the passed frequency range of the device. You can turn the filter on and off and set the center frequency and width of the passed frequency band using the respective controls. The original signal, which was received at Beat Repeat's input, is mixed with Beat Repeat's repetitions according to one of 3 mix modes. Mix allows the original signal to pass through the device and have repetitions added to it. Insert mutes the original signal when repetitions are playing, but passes it otherwise. And gate passes only the repetitions, never passing the original signal. Gate mode is especially useful when the effect is housed in a return track. You can set the output level of the device using the volume control and apply decay to create gradual fading repetitions. So I must admit, reading that one was quite complicated, but let's jump into Ableton, do a few tests and see what we get. I started running some tests and then I realised there was actually much more audible difference than visual difference this time, but let's just have a quick look at Beat Repeat, and this is just stuttering 16th notes. So if we come back here, turn the pitch off, we have this. And on this one, if I undo these to back to normal, we've got this. They sound pretty similar to me, and when we look at them, there really isn't much difference. The slight difference in frequencies could just be the different time that I've paused the span, but there's really not much different going on there. They look pretty damn similar. Next up we have the -12. This is where it's pitch shifting down. So if we come back here, take the pitch down to -12, it's taking these last 7 and pitching them down. Now this makes a big difference for one reason, and that's because of our warp mode. Have a look. There is one big difference that I can see, and that's what's going on the high end here. Beat repeat keeps those highs, whereas manual has chopped them off. Now why is that? The reason I believe it to be is probably to do with warp mode. So if we listen to the original hit, let's listen to the manual version. You can hear that it's stuttering much more as it cuts up. So let's say if we took these and changed beat mode to complex, it's still doing that same thing. Let's try tone. And texture. So you can hear in the manual version, there's definitely some clipping and transients happening. You hear there's that kind of popping and clicking going on here. Now if you're doing this in a kind of glitchy song and you're doing this all over the place, that's going to stand out and sound quite aggressive, quite harsh, and you'll probably end up having a lot of transients overlapping and giving you some pretty nasty attack in your track. And you might even find as you're trying to master it, you've got big clips and peaks coming out, and audibly it doesn't sound like anything's louder, but it's these transients overlapping which is going to add up over the course of your tracks. So I would say beat repeat here does a much nicer job of pitching those down. Again, it really depends on your sound and style, because sometimes I like those transients. So as opposed to right, so I'm going to duplicate this channel just so we can keep what we've done. I'm going to turn pitch down, and now we're going to have a look at the pitch decay. So what this will do, instead of, you can see here, pitch, after our first one, everything goes down to whatever we set, -6, -12. Pitch decay is going to do it over time. So let's listen now. Instead of just going da 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 da, it should go da 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 da. So that's kind of a cool, recognisable sound if you like that kind of old jungle stuff where they used to cut up, pitch these samples. And I must admit, I'll tell you guys now, I don't use beat repeat very often at all. When I do this stuff, I do most of it manually because I like to have the control. Okay, let me just duplicate this one. So for instance, let's imagine we only wanted this to happen on the last bar of our loop. So let's just listen. So we only want that last one. Digga 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 digga. There's a couple of ways we could do that. If we take our chance, show automation, only have that in the last version. So now, and then the nature of this sound, they're quite a lot bigger snares there, so we can turn that volume down a bit, try and balance it. But personally, I don't really like that method. I find that method a I find this method quite tedious. If there's something particularly you're looking for, I find you're much better off just cutting it up and doing it yourself. What I think Beat Repeat's special function is, and its real USP and selling point, is horrible noises. That's all I really care about anyway. So rather than trying to get something, oh, I'd really like this bit to glitch here and that bit to glitch there, I personally don't think Beat Repeat's the best thing for that. If you're doing a live set, I've seen a lot of people use Beat Repeat to kind of get some nice alterations in their drums and little things like that. If you mess around, you can get some quite good setups here. Let's turn the offset down, volume, normal, pitch decay off. I'll have that on and up to quarters instead of eighths. So now we've got, turn my chance up. That's quite a nice way to just, if you were doing this live and you had this automated. So maybe you're working in this view live and you're triggering all your samples. You might have your Beat Repeat mapped on some kind of MIDI thing or something, and turning it on and off kind of live, getting a bit of variation. So if you imagine you're playing. Quite a nice little one on the fly, and then you might want to map some of these to some stuff as well. Let's say you mapped the grid, so then you turn it on, get this kind of nice totally broken glitchy things out of nowhere. So I'm going to make a little rack for you guys, and we're just going to map some of what I would use most. For me personally, Beat Repeat is used to break things and make noises. If you have some other use for it and you want to use it to kind of give you variation on your drums and stuff like that, it can be done, but I find its sound design is the creme of this. So we'll put our chance knob up, and I will rename that to dry wet. Kind of is, but it kind of isn't. You know, it's the dry wet of the effect. Are we having any effect or all effect? Next up, I'm going to map our grid to macro 2, and we will call that rate. That here, I suppose pitch decay, because that's a bit more fun. Yeah, let's leave that for a moment and let's see what we can do. So if we have horrible, and I love it. So what I would do with this is create a new audio track, duplicate this a few times, set this one to resampling mode, arm, solo, come here, unloop this, and let us record some of the madness. Wow. This kind of glitch stuff I absolutely love. I would take this and rename it now Glitch Drums 172 BPM, because tempo is quite important with this. And now, look at some of these great horrible things we've got over here. Oh, that's lovely. And I'd be using that cut up, spliced in between my bass lines, and God knows what, to be honest. Literal just horrible noise making. That's really nice. Zoom in a bit and cut that bit. outro. That's an outro to a song straight away. Having your drums just disintegrate into that. Grab our normal, come over here, going to delete the beat repeat, chuck this on the end here, so that's it. I want one more pop. You see these little clicks? I want one of them just to duplicate there. And I will bring it like that. And as you can see here, even though I've used beat repeat, I'm still going in manually and adjusting some things. Now I might even just slow that down more, boom, and then go like one away again each time, something like this. And a gap of 3 there. And then you want a gap of there, so then this would be where our drop was. Drop. Let's just have a listen. Or maybe even one after that again. I could do there. So you can kind of create these nice exponential rhythms and just real, like the manual said, pitch decay is one of the most obscure parameters, and it is for this reason. So let me just come back to here and let's rename this Glitch Rack. So feel free to use this one in any of your tracks, guys. Just pull it in, drag it all around and make a load of nutty noise. So next up, let me grab our initial bit, bring it over here, pitch off. Let's have a little look at the filter. So you can hear straight away the filter only affects the repeated beats. So if we come down here, our original beat, our 0 and our 1, aren't affected. All of these parameters are only what's affecting these yellow dots. So let's say we've filtered it down there. Now that's too quiet. You could boost that up. Or if you had some high frequencies that were too harsh, you could turn them down. It's just about finding that balance between the two. When you're affecting stuff, if you're making big horrible noises and it's all going wrong, you might want to filter some of those noises out, and you might want to adjust the volume on some of those noises. Also the decay here, you can see, fades it out, so we could have and that now feels like it's kind of purring off into a reverb or something. So let me just do that quick here. I would take this reverb, dry wet, show automation, and where's it doing it? The last 2. So let's go here to there. And same again here. Just kind of giving some space and some weird stuff to your beats and to whatever it is. I'm using drums here just so it's more obvious. But you could be doing this on basses as well. You could be doing this on any pads or anything. So let me come into my Neuro basses, Fat Neuro G1. Let's see what we got here. Let's take this little bit, grab our beat repeat, chuck it on there. Pitch, decay. Let's say we're going to stick to 1 bar mode. We've got our 1 bar here. Let's drag it out to 2 bars actually. And we'll go to 2 bar mode. If we set gate to all the way, we can turn this to, why is it doing volume? We'll turn that there. 3/4, half. So now we're going to have 2 bars. So it's all of this is affected. And every half, so it should be twice per beat, it's going to do its thing. Offset here, you can see, is still in 16ths. So as long as your offset is a division, it doesn't make a difference. So having it as 0 or 8 will be the same, but we can move it, see, up to 4, and that's going to be halfway between the bars. So it'll be, start it here to make it simple so we can see what's going on. Played those first half, this here, and then it has filtered and repeated for the other ones. So if we turn them down, I don't want it to do that, do we? We want it to turn down gradually, and then we bring the first volume down here, so it goes digga digga digga, and then it's going to fade off. And then we could even show the automation of the filter and have that kind of fade away up in the highs. And I'd probably just carry that on just so it has more. So that could be used as a bridging point, as a transition going into your bridge or at the end of the song. And like I did a second ago with the reverb or the delay, it's one that I will just always do all the time. Let me grab a reverb here and automate that dry wet so that as things are going further away, it starts getting wetter. So let's just have a listen. And here at the end there's that pop. That's happening because we've got the end of our audio stopping, and this is doing a clip somewhere. Some kind of clippy popping thing. So that click is being created by beat repeat. So it isn't hyper intelligent. As we saw earlier, when I cut things up manually, it creates a bit more of a stutter, and I was warning you guys about your transients. That does not mean that beat repeat is perfect. If it's cutting in the middle of an audio file, there is still a chance that you can get clipping and popping. So how would I overcome this? I don't really know, to be honest. I would possibly render it down and cut the pop off at the end, or we could try, where is it actually taken? Could be this here, see, just before it's got that little bit. Let's try that. Still doing it at the end. Is the reverb accentuating it? Yeah, the reverb's accentuating it, but you can hear that it's still there. So for this example, how to fix that, I would probably right click, freeze, or resample. New audio track. Drag you down. And then I'll put my reverb. I can unfreeze, turn you off, bring my reverb back here. So now you can see what the beat repeat's done. And if we delete that one, still got that going on there. So let's just come in, to get rid of our automations and just fade out that bit there. And there we go, got rid of that little pop. So it's not infallible, beat repeat. Don't think that, oh, if I cut it up myself, I'm going to get all these horrible transients. I'll just let beat repeat do it. Those transients can still be there because all it is doing is taking your input and then cutting it and replicating it. So if where it cuts is in the middle of a waveform, still going to get that damage, that transient build-up. So what else can we do with it? So if we were to duplicate our drums again, let's have a little look. Reset the volume, turn the decay, turn the filter off, turn the pitch off. So let's set offset back to 1. Interval we can leave at 1 bar. Grid we can put to 1/8 notes. And gate we will set to all of it. So now it's got 1/8 notes playing all the time. So it should just be repeating our first 1/8 note continuously. Let's have a listen. Oh, still got a reverb on. So that's taking the first beat, the first 1/8 note from every single bar and repeating it. So What do we want to do? We can add some variations in. Quite nice if you want some kind of mad section which is breaking up and doing something crazy. But one of the easy things that I like to do here is if we're creating a build-up, we can just go... I'm just going to take this first one because we want the same things repeating every time. And we're going to go from grid, show automation, 8th, 12s, 16s, 30 seconds, halfway through this bar we can 64ths, so let's see what we got. That's the build up, right? You guys have all heard that before. A lot of the time what I'll do is just get my main kick and be reinforcing that myself, but it's a real nice quick easy way if you want to get that build up, repeating your first beat. It's a very typical dance music trope or technique. And like everything with this, there's a million ways you can do it. So. Pitch decay is a nice one there. If we automate that at the end. And then we get into our drop. Oh. And let's just have that going in on the last bar so it builds up and then drops out. And then bam, it's going to smack in right at the end there. Let's have a quick look in span and see what's going on here, but it shouldn't be anything too horrible. You see when it first starts to pitch, the correlation meter moves, does a little kind of jolt to the left. So something's happening there with the phase and the stereo field, which makes sense because we are pitch modulating and stretching the audio. But nothing bad. We're still way on the right side of the correlation meter. There's nothing, it's not doing anything too dicky. Alright guys, thank you very much for tuning in today's episode. Hopefully you learnt a thing or two. I must say, I'm not a big user of this plugin, so if there's anything I've missed or anything you guys do, leave me a comment below or come over and chat to us at our Discord at chat.stonx.co.uk. We're always swapping advice, swapping tips and swapping ADGs and effect racks. So yeah, as always, project files available in the description and I'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much. Bye.